So we're just going to continue on here, right? I've put these on this. I'm like filling up this hard drive on this computer really fast, but it has another one. I just don't know how to access it. That's all. Everything's going on to the C drive. It's not going on to the D drive, but it has a D drive, so I'm going to have to take these videos and put them on my external hard drive and clear this out, because pretty soon I'm going to be maxing out that one. And obviously my son is busy because he hasn't done that one yet, right? Okay. So anyway, I'm sitting here. I'm going to get this going, get it converting, and I'll put this up, right? And then I'm going to get on with what I was going to get on with in terms of the plum hot and sweet sauce. And then, because I pulled out the nuts, and we know that some of them are still viable, I'm going to see if I can get them in my fridge, because technically they should be in cold storage. And then they don't dry out, right, as fast. But those things like are 2 years old. Well, one. Got them last year. And you've seen me bite into it. These were last year's black walnut. If they would have left it for another month and a half, that's the size it would have been. When Andre and I were doing the blackberries, he found that one. Obviously came from my yard. So whether there's a nut in it or not, it's hard to say, because black walnuts is a heavy nut, right, to begin with. So you don't know until you crack it open or it grows. And this one could have been dug up from one of my pots and moved by the squirrel, which is very likely to happen, and it still may be viable. So I'm going to put that one back in the ground at some point, because we just found that like 4 or 5 days ago. These ones have been out on the porch with the X Club, but you can see the size and difference. I mean, look at that. Papa bear, mama bear, and baby bear. Right? Completely different. This is what I mean. They cut down the tree too soon. So anyway, but I have seen nuts grow trees in my yard from a little nut like that. So it's possible. Ideally you want them like that, but can't always have what you want, right? So anyway, I have to recharge the battery, because this thing doesn't hold the charge for very long. And then I'm going to take you out into the X Club. We'll go see the babies. And considering that I met the city dude today on a hot to trot rampage because somebody cut down a walnut tree, I'm thinking, well, you know, as they're growing, maybe I should give a few of them to the city as a gift. Right? Hoping that they'll plant them someplace with a note. Right? Asking for a loving home that they will not be disturbed. It might happen, right? Because I've got a few of them growing, and I'm going to be planting more. And then next year, you know, maybe I should give a few to the city. I'm giving 2 to my neighbor down over here. Andre and I, we just haven't figured out which ones we want to give them yet. I was going to transplant, give her back her pot, and then if the tree died next year, she can tell me, and then I can just give her another tree, right? Right? I don't want to give my neighbor a tree and then it dies because, you know, it was somehow disrupted from the nut when it was transplanted. That's why those ones that I came home with today, I think I'm going to try and find a way to put them in their own pot, and in this way they're not disturbed when they root, and then when it comes time to transplant, you're just taking them out. I mean, ideally you want big, but I can't have big all over. I can have the smaller size, one per nut. And then when they come up, it will be easier to transplant them. It will be less stressful to separate them, because they don't like to be separated for the first couple of years. They really don't. They'll die. They feed off the nut. So I'm going to work on converting this over. I'm kind of tired. I dragged home a big piece of wood today, people. Freaking thing was heavy. Okay? Because I want those rounds, those walnut rounds. I take the skill saw and I saw. And then those will be for Andre's walnut art, right? Okay, I'm going to get on with this. There's quite a few. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24 videos. It looks like. Okay. Same day. Only it's like going on 11 o'clock at night now. And when I think when I picked up the camera, it was 9 in the morning. And I started cooking at 10, but then I had a detour. Alright, so what I'm doing is, I really like those plums, people. So I am going to make up this plum sauce tonight and can it tonight because I have to go outside tomorrow. Whoa. I have to go outside tomorrow. Right? You know, I spend all this time outside. Not lately. But like I said, it doesn't matter what I do, you know, I get ragged on from time to time, especially Tisha, right, because, you know, she doesn't, I don't know, maybe when she gets her own place, and, hold on a minute. Okay, so I'm kind of just throwing everything in there, right, I used just this, the Punjabi sugar. One is a little darker, one is a little lighter, so 1 cup each, and 1 cup sugar. There's only 8.5 cups of plum in there, so in this case it's going to be a little more sweeter because of the sugar, right? And then we're going to do about a 3/4 cup of this, because if I remember correctly it was 1 cup before, right? I posted the link to the recipe that I what do you call it, used, and that should be just enough vinegar for me to start. Well, maybe tonight, depending on how long I cook this for. I have to find a jar though. I need to find a good jar. I haven't really found a jar yet that I want to use to make apple cider vinegar, right? Because those apples are still sitting there. And then I put almost a tablespoon of salt in there. I'll taste it in a while after it cooks. Put a few cloves of garlic, some ginger, a whole onion. I'm going to take some of these, I'm going to break them up, I'm going to make it a little hot. I'm going to cook it, and then as it's cooking, then I'm going to taste it to see what I want, right? If I want it sweeter, if I want it hotter, if I want it more salty. As long as your basic ingredients are in there in terms of ratio to the cups of fruit, you're good, right? And canning it won't take very long. You only need to do the jars 15 minutes or whatever it is, because I'm doing the half pints, right? Sorry, 1 pints, but that, the round, the longs, you know, the wide mouth and short, right? Not these ones, but the other ones, the ones that you use for fish. I'm going to do that, right? Yeah, I just, because I got to work outside tomorrow, so I don't want to start cooking, because if I start cooking, it will become a big detour. And we already know that once I get outside there, I'm going to end up running into some kind of detour, right? That's the way it works. So, you can't really tell what it tastes like until it starts cooking. So we're going to let that cook for a while before I add it too much in there, because I don't like it too hot, but I do want it a little spicy and a little sweet. So it's 11 o'clock now. I'm almost tempted to put some more ginger in there, but we'll wait and see. So it's 11 o'clock now, so I figure if at latest I should be done by 2. I should be. Right? And then I won't have to worry about it tomorrow, and the plums are done. apparently there's a few plums on my tree. So maybe I might do it with my plums. There's not that many, just a handful. So I'm going out in the yard tomorrow, right? And probably bring the camera out with me. Why not? And maybe we'll go check out those plums and see what we got on that tree. Not too many though. Maybe 10. Andre said he's seen some, so we'll see. Okay, so we'll be back. Okay. It's like I got 3 minutes left on this canner. So in the meantime, what I've done is I cut up some apples, miscellaneous apples. I boiled some water. I got my sugar. And I got some of this to help start it in terms of apple cider vinegar. From my understanding, I've never done this before, people. Right? Just put some water in there. I don't think it's anything specific. This wasn't really the jar that I wanted because I'm going to end up covering this, I think, with the cloth. But I'm moving this out of here tonight because there's too many fruit flies. So, a couple tablespoons or so of sugar. And I think you're supposed to kind of mix it all up before you put your apples in there. Alright? So I'm going to do 2. And then I'm going to shake this up. And it looks like, oh, I don't know. I'm going to give it half of that. Which will probably be, well, I guess I should measure it. Let's see what a 1/4 cup gets us. Yeah, apparently you don't need a lot. You just need a little bit to get it started. So that leaves me another 1/4 cup. If I need it. And then you take a clean spoon and you stir it around. And you dissolve that sugar, right? Now my water is not warm, but it can probably cool. I could probably put those, but these are somewhat cool, so once I put them in the water, it should be okay. Alright. So it's going on 1:45 in the morning now. It's like the good old days, like Uncle John would say. See, I do double shifts sometimes. Always the night shift. The morning shift was Uncle John's shift. It wasn't my shift. Because sometimes people, when you're doing stuff like this, you end up finding yourself at 6 o'clock in the morning finishing your last batch after you worked all day. Right? I'd be going to bed and Uncle John would be getting up. So then, you put your apples in there. Nicely cleaned. And if you can, use more than one type of apple. You can always look online, do research on that. I don't know how much you're supposed to put in. I guess I'm going to have to do more. Which is fine. I just wanted to get those ones in the water. So I'm going to do a few more. Now, mind you, I probably used too much water. I don't know if you have to push that down. I think it's supposed to be under. But then, on the other hand, all people do is take one of these things, coffee filter, but you have to make sure it's really, really tight in order to keep the fruit flies out. But if you cover this up with a clean tea towel and take it out of your kitchen and put it someplace else, chances of fruit flies getting into it will be very nil. You leave it in the kitchen, no matter how tight you get it, there's a high probability you're going to get fruit flies in there. So anyway, I'm halfway done. And then I did do this, so this is ready to go. My jar is just turned off, you heard that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish, because the jars can stay warm. That's on warm. I can heat that up when I'm ready. But I'm going to peel a few more. I'm going to look online first, remind myself what to do here. And, yeah. Can this. This doesn't taste too bad. This is actually pretty good. It's a little sweeter because it has more sugar and a cup and a half less plum. I could put more hot chili in there, but I'm not going to. No. Okay, so basically what I'm doing now is I'm heating this up. You can see how thick it is. It's nice. It could use some more chili in there, but I'm not going to do that. I'll put more sweet, right? It's more like sweet and sour versus sweet and hot. I don't think I can only put 7, I think, jars in my canner, but I don't even think I'm going to get 7 jars, but it's hard to say. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. This here, I'm doing wrong already. I have to push the apples down below the water. So, but for now, I'm just covered it up to keep the fruit flies out, right? So, again, I was having a hard time finding a jar, and so I don't know what I'm going to use to push this down yet. I may just bring up the water or put more apples in, which would be easier. It would be easier just to put more apples in, and then what it's going to do is it's going to bring up the water, and then maybe I have to take this off and see how the bowl sits in there to hold the water. Oh, sorry. To hold the water on the apples, right? Because I really don't have a lot of room to go in terms of for this water to rise almost to the very top, right? And then you would use the bowl to push it down, but you couldn't use this. You'd have to use a cloth over it, right? Hold on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm ready to boil those plum sauce. I'm just heating up the what is it called? The canner now. And then I'm just going to boil it with the lid on 15 minutes. And that will be done. And then turn off the heat. You let it sit for 5 minutes. Don't even take off the lid. Wait, and then take off the lid after about 5 minutes. And then don't even take your jars out. Give it another 5 more minutes. Right? It's just better. So anyway, when I was looking there, you have to add more sugar into this. And you can't just add it in and put it over the, it's better just to mix it all in. 2 tablespoons. I think somebody else was 2 tablespoons, but this other lady here, she did a cup. She said a half a cup to a cup. So I'm going to do a half a cup here, it's about a half a cup, maybe a little more than a half a cup. And I've already done the 2 tablespoons, so I guess it's going to be a sweet vinegar. So I'll put that in there. When I do this, I go through a million spoons, man. I'm always washing dishes. She says, "Oh, you know, I'm clean." Yeah, okay, Tisha. So anyway, just stir that around. And then I cut a few more apples. Right? It's like 2:33 in the morning now. But I'm feeling pretty good about this, so that's okay. Okay, now I'm going to put everything back. And what I'm going to end up doing after I'm done, now, just to make it rise, the water, I am just going to add more apples. So I still need a bit more, probably about 2 more apples. And because I don't want flies in this right now, I'm just going to cover this back up to keep them out. And go peel at least 2 more apples. And then I'm going to find a bowl to put over it to hold it down. So hold on a minute. Okay, so basically what I've done is I added more apples in there. I could still add a few more pieces. I put a bowl on top to help push the water, like to push the apples down, because the apples are supposed to be under the water. Ideally, it would be nice if this bowl was a little deeper. And honestly, it's like, what, going on 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm really not in the mood to be hunting around. So this works pretty good. Mind you, I still got a few minutes, so I might be able to find a different bowl, right? But before I'd get too stressed out about it, I would add a few more tablespoons of water just to top it right off. And then what I'm going to do, and you can see, there, you can actually see in there, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to the bathroom, and then I'm going to cover it with a cloth. Hold on a minute. Okay, so what I did is I found a different bowl. You can see that. Rinsed it off, right? And then I took out that much. What you gonna do? I can use that as a starter tomorrow for a smaller jar, which I'll just put a lid on it and stick it in the fridge. How about that? So we don't waste anything. Okay? I'll just make a small little jar or something. I'll do less sugar or more sugar. Or I'll do something different as a comparison, but just a smaller amount, right? So basically, what I've done is I just pushed it down. You can see, right? And this honey is holding it down, so everything is under the water. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse this bowl, and then I'm going to move this into this bowl, clean bowl, just try and wipe it down a little bit, and then I'm going to take it to the bathroom for now, and then I'm going to cover it with a cloth. 1, to take it out of the kitchen away from the fruit flies, and 2, to keep the fruit flies out, because apparently these things somewhat have to breathe. I don't know how covering it with this, I mean, this makes sense by pushing it down. This doesn't have a mother. If it, don't ask me what a mother is, but anyway, if it had a mother to cover it, then you wouldn't need this, right? But obviously I don't have that because this is my first time around. Those things can get really thick and they take a long time to develop over a period of long time. I don't know how long, never done it before. So anyway, it can still breathe if it wants to, I would think, right? It can still somewhat breathe. So we're just trying it out here, right? Okay, so now it's like 3:07 in the morning here, and I'm pretty much done. 1 jar's already popped. They'll be popped by tomorrow. And so plums are done, except for maybe what's in my front. Right? I'll check the tree tomorrow. This is hummingbird food. Because the hummingbird is like Mickey. It follows me around the yard. And it gets my attention because it doesn't have any food in its bird feeder. So it made sure it reminded me twice today. It came out to the front and was flying around me in the front when I was in the front on the steps, and in the back. And it comes right up to me. This is that little bit of sugar water with the vinegar in it, which, like I said, tomorrow or the next day, I'll do another one of those, but in a different jar with a different sugar ratio, right? Just to see what we get. So I have this, what is it called? Bamboo paper towel that you can use over and over again. And I put that over top of everything with 2 elastics. And now I'm going to move this, for now, into the bathroom just to get it out of the kitchen, because I'm taking my apple peels out, all this stuff out, because, you know, the house is full of freaking fruit flies, right? So I don't want the fruit flies to find this. So if I move it to the bathroom and close the door, there will be less chance for them to find it, right? And then I'll make plans to move it someplace else in a different room so it can do what it does, because this you do for a while, right? 3-4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that, if not longer. It can sit and sit and sit after, even you take out this after, right? Okay, so this is going in the fridge. That's going in the bathroom for now. Those are going to cool. Now it's 3:10 in the morning. This is when I get hungry and I want to eat before I go to sleep, right? Because I don't really eat that much during the day, you know, when I'm doing stuff like this. So whether I eat something or not, people have been taking showers upstairs and I don't want to wash the bathtub. So I'll probably just give myself a little sponge bath, right? Take this off. But it's hot in the house. This has been cool. I haven't been really hot. The house is hot. So, anyway, this will pick up tomorrow. Okay. So now it's August 13th, 2019. I'm pretty sure it's 13th. Do you see this? This is weeping willow. I cut it in the early part of spring, I think. And I put it in jugs of water. All the leaves died off. And then they regrew back. And as you can see, they're very, very healthy. Like, look at that. Now the thing is, growing a weeping willow tree is extremely hard. I've tried it before. So what I'm going to do, because I have to get them out of the water before winter and put them into dirt, right? So that's what I'm going to focus on today, because I don't want them to die. It would be really nice if we could have a couple of weeping willows growing. So I'm going to clear them out of here. And since they like this corner, for the most part, I am going to, find some bigger planter pots, and I'm going to put them in there, and hopefully they'll catch before winter sets in, right? And they'll come back next year. That's what I'm hoping for. And then I'm just going to go around picking up whatever and cutting back some of these dead leaves and just cleaning up. At some point, I just want to go in the back there, up where the blackberry bush is, and pick up those extra, miscellaneous vines that are drying and put them in the compost. And Andre wants to go pick those berries over there. So after I get a handle on this a little bit, and then I'm going to get, let's go in the greenhouse. I'm going to get, what do you call it? I'm going to get, some walnuts in here to transplant to give to my neighbor, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing for now, anyway. And then, of course, go get those blackberries, which will be the last batch. It's good for Andre and his little friend to be running around in a field picking blackberries, jumping over ditches on the way home. And then check on my babies. See, I've already transplanted some. There's 2 of them coming up on that one, though. This one was okay by itself. I have to take out some of these things because sometimes they smother the plant. These ones aren't so bad. Their root system is very, very shallow. These ones here, they get a little deeper. So come in here and make room. This squash is still trying to grow, people. Never again. I'm not planting. The only thing I like to plant in here is tomatoes. Tomatoes go nuts in here. Go through some of these, double check them, see they're dry, because I've been battling a hornet's nest. Can't get to my water tap. It's really hot in here too. So move things around, get ready for some new nuts to plant. Like some of these, like you see, there's 2 coming up out of this one here. So this one I'll take out today, and there's another 2 more, right? And that's what I'll transplant into the, the pots. And then I'm going to give to my neighbor 1 black walnut and 1 English walnut. And then I told her if they should happen to die next year for whatever reason, just let me know and I can replace the tree, right? You got to be careful when you pull them like this, because if you pull them like this and there's a shoot coming up, you grab the shoot and you bust off the shoot. But the tree would reshoot itself. The reason I put these things here is it just helps to stop the sun blaring on the dirt. The problem is, though, I don't get in here all the time. So, what do you call it? It's dust, people. You can see it flying. And I've been in a hot house and it's really hot in here. Anyway, you can see how fast it multiplies if you're not out here doing this all the time. Now, there are nuts in there, and it doesn't look like anything caught from this one. I don't know what kind of nuts, so I'm going to take a spoon. I'm going to dig around and see what I can find, and see if because, just because it hasn't popped through doesn't mean it won't. Alright, I have done that, and then pulled out the nut, and actually broke the nut from, a tree, right? Okay, so hold on. It's really hot in here. That's what I'm going to do. Hold on. Okay, so I guess I'll finish this video because these last few videos, these last few videos that have been going up have been long. Right? And I haven't even transferred everything over to my external hard drive yet, people. I was actually in the yard today. Well, you'll see a little clip before this because I'm just going to put this at the end of the video. It's like the days of our lives. Do you remember those? Do you remember those TV series? The Days of Our Lives? I used to watch them for a while, yeah, but they don't really seem to have that stuff anymore, right? I don't know what happened to them. Oh, do you know what Andre did? I really should be phoning up my cable company. Andre, now, I got cable whenever it was, I don't remember. And I had to sign up for a 2-year contract, right? And only 1 year has gone by. So, August. I got cable in August of 2018 from probably being depressed. And I have like a lot of videos, children's videos and stuff. So Andre was, piling up the videos and whatever. And I wanted Criminal Minds, right? Lay on the couch with the remote and, So anyway, I get the cable, okay. Everything's fine, it's, I can never find what I want because for some reason The cable company has the channels in the 400s, not channel 12, right? Local news. I can't even find global news or CTV news, which is my local area, right? Used to be channel 12. So anyway, I basically just watch one show, like one channel, and that is police investigating murders and shit, right? And when Shimei died and the investigator came to my house, one of the first things that he had said to me was, it's not like what you think it is because you watch TV in terms of investigating a murder, right? It's not what I think it is because I watch this one particular channel that purports itself to be, you know, put out there with real cops that have retired, with real stories, you know, with time, date, and name, right? You know what I mean? And I listen to this shit. That's the only channel I watch. And lately I've been kind of like getting annoyed with it because if that's what this investigator was telling me, then the only time that they really solve crime is on TV. Other than that, what good are cops for, right? If what you see with this channel, right, that shows cops investigating murders for the most part, right, whether they're Jane Does or they talk about the stories where, you know, neighbor fights with neighbor and then it, you know, it gets all, and then somebody ends up shooting somebody, and you know, that kind of a channel, right? And anyway, that's the only channel I watch, right? And then what happens is Andre watches cartoons. So he knows his channels. Well, guess what he discovered? Shaw on Demand. Which I think is like you rent movies. Oh boy. And I'm listening to these. Spider-Man, what are you watching, Andre? Spider-Man. Oh, you're watching, okay, Spider-Man. I can get with Spider-Man, right? Little did I know he was paying for the Spider-Man. Spider-Man should have been included into the children's channels. He's got like 3 or 4 different children's, if not more, children's channels to be watching. That's Spider-Man. Or the Ice Age. That's those prehistoric dinosaurs, like a Land Before Time kind of a situation, right? You know, things that I have on fucking video, man. Anyway, $4.99 per movie. Some of them $6.99. And because my office, the paper starts to pile up, I don't necessarily open an envelope right away. So it gets buried in with my papers. So by the time I actually get a chance to do it, I'm finding envelopes that were like 2 months, a month ago, that in terms of bills that I hadn't opened yet. So I opened a bill and it's Shaw, and it's like, holy shit, they're charging me $150 for videos. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, okay, what's the date on this bill? And it turns out it's not, like, I wanted to see how far back this has been going on without me noticing. Long story short, I found 2 bills where he charged up $150 per bill, right? And now I'm getting another bill, but the cutoff for the $150 on the last bill was like something like June 24th or something. And I just found out like 3 days ago. And of course, Andre can't read, so he didn't know what he was doing. He just thought it was another kids channel. So I'm thinking to call up the company and talk to the supervisor, because I did call them. They said there was nothing that they could do. I said, well, it's pretty obvious it was suspicious activity. If you can call me on the phone and tell me that I owe you guys money, I don't see why you couldn't have called me and let me know that all of a sudden, out of the blue, somebody was using Shaw on Demand, and it was like getting kind of expensive. No, it's like $150. That's like $300 right there. And then what? What's coming in? So I'm debating whether I should just cancel it, pay my $20, what is it called? Penalty fee for canceling before the 2 years is up, and make payment plans to pay that off. Right? So I don't lose my internet and my phone, basically. Because I don't have that kind of money to put on the cable bill. Right? For one channel. I watch one channel, and I fucking hate cops now, people. How is it that I can lay there, look at these people, perpetrate something that's supposed to be having some dignity in society, and then in the real world, walk around thinking they're nothing but slime balls? Okay? It wasn't just one cop that was corrupt. It was a whole bunch of them. And if you notice, all their cars look the same all across the fucking continent, except for maybe they might change the paint once in a while. Right? They all have the same siren. They all use the same siren. They work with the same co-workers, paramedics, fire department. They have all the technology, even though they couldn't access Shmei's phone, right? Because somebody conveniently broke her port. Being that it's a cover-up, you know, it could have very well been the cops who did that themselves. It didn't have to be Julian, but it was one or the other, right? Who broke Shmei's fairly new phone port so that, you know, they couldn't open it up, because it's not like what you see on TV, right? So anyway, whatever I started to say in the beginning, I steered off from it. So I worked pretty much in the yard all day once I got out there. And I'm kind of like beating myself up because my beautiful trees, some of them, what they've done is they've busted through the pots and they've gotten into the ground, and they're just happy little campers. And along came Mama Bear and ripped them up. Right? And black walnuts, boy oh boy, they're a hardy tree. Yeah, they root fast, and their roots get thick fast, and they're gnarly when they want to get through the pot, right? Gnarly. They're pushing through no matter what. If there's dirt, and they're gonna get into the dirt. So anyway, I disrupted a fair amount of them today, and I repotted them. And so not only I had the camera out there, but I didn't really feel like videotaping too much at the time. But what I was doing was, I dig it out, spade it, and, rip and pull and dig and, do all that crap, right? And then, give it a good yank. So, you break off a bit of root here, you scrape a root there, right? And I'm like, just as long as you don't, injure it too much, it should be okay, right? Being that they're such a hardy plant. Because they're past the nut stage, right? Once they leave the nut, they take on a whole new life, seriously. If they can get into dirt, oh man, they go crazy. They're strong. Black walnut is a strong tree. Very strong tree. So anyway, okay, so now I got the pot, right, out of the dirt with the roots hanging through the holes. And a couple of them got real thick, right? And we're just, developing a knot in there. And so, you know, of course, I'm stepping on the pot. I laid the pot down, and now this tree is almost as tall as me now. Right? Tomorrow, I have to go outside tomorrow. I told Tisha, I have to get outside. I have to work outside. I'm so far behind outside. So anyway, I'm stepping on these pots. You know, I've got them on laying like this now. And I'm stepping on the pot, trying to loosen up the dirt, right? You know, and, you know, so I can get it out and put it into another bigger pot. Right? And I'm repositioning my pots because I've got new ones coming. Next year, I'm just going to have to give some to the city. Right? And so anyway, and I'm like, and I'm apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrupting you. I know it's hard on you. Like, just be a good tree and, you know, and heal yourself and take root. Because what happened was when I transplanted that oak tree over there that was up against the house and they didn't want it, and I brought it over here, it looks like it died in the pot that I put it in. It looks like it died. I won't know until next year or the year after. I'm going to leave it there for at least one more year. Right? It could very well have died though. So, of course, I'm thinking about those ones out there, such beautiful trees, right? You know, and I'm coming along and digging them out and, you know, and just whatever, stepping on the pot, trying to replant. And so I'm kind of feeling kind of shitty, right? I feel like I might be just, you know, harming them. But they're hardy. So I think once they get past the nut stage, they take on a whole new mission. But now it's like in smaller pots, they don't like that. They like to go like this and spread out. They don't like to go in a circle. They like to spread out. Right. So anyway, that's what I did. Right? I have to spend some time outside. Right? I'm cleaning too, and I'm battling a hornet's nest still. These hornets, they got underneath, because this is an old house, right? And by my water tap, it looks like a pallet. I don't know what it is. Anyway, they got underneath it, and they're in the dirt underneath, and those hornet's nests are very dangerous, because if you bumble along them and they're in the ground or underneath something in the ground and you pull and they know you and they see you and they want you, they're going to chase you. They'll chase you for 100 feet and they'll swarm you. That's what happened to me one time. I seen a bucket. I was driving down the road and I seen a bucket because of this yard, and I stopped and I went, and it was a property lot that had its house torn down. So there was just a few trees and, you know, weeds and whatever in this bucket, okay? But I wanted the bucket because, you know, this yard, I had a lot of issues and I needed buckets. So I went to go get the bucket, and when I grabbed the bucket, I pulled the bucket, but boy, oh boy, like within not even freaking 20 seconds, I was being swarmed, and of course I bolted, and those things followed me all the way to the car. So I ran through this property, you know, got into the car, and by the time I got into the car, I was so itchy, every part of my body, but everywhere. And I'm driving, right? You know, I'm like, holy fucking shit, what the fuck is going on here, right? Oh, and by the time I got home, I was like calling, you know, whatever I called, right? Saying, what the hell is going on here? Like, every part of my body was itchy, man. Just, oh. And she said, get some Benadryl or something. Something I had in here. I took that and it calmed things down. But now that that's happened to me, if it happens to me again, I could die from it, right? Because, you know, that was an allergic reaction. And I got something like 12, 13, 14 stings. That's what happened. That's how many stings I had. And my body just went into eek mode, right? So this one is under the ground. And, you know, I've been trying different things, but it's not working. But I gave him a good spray. What I did, first I tried the raids and stuff that I had in the house, and that didn't work. And then Mark Kane tried his something wasp thing. That didn't work. We've been getting them at night, right? You don't go near them during the day. You stay the hell away from them. So I haven't been able to use that tap very much unless I want to use it at night. And then I decided to pour a bunch of old olive oil down there to see if maybe it would trickle down into, you know what I mean? But I don't think so, because what happened is they've gone in and went over here somewhere where if you put something in, it's just staying over here, right? And because it's too big, it's almost like I have to pull everything out. And I started tonight. I'm going to have to just pull everything out from underneath the steps. And little by little, surely by surely, gingerly, if I didn't get them good tonight with trying to spray a lot of water in there, hoping it would disperse out, right? You know, disperse out versus going down. The way I was spraying, you know, spraying, I was hoping that the water would kind of like go like this and maybe saturate their nest. And if you can saturate the nest, that will destroy the nest because it will be soggy, right? And they won't like it. But I won't know what happens with that till tomorrow or the day after, because they're flying in and out. And they're like little jets. And they're always flying. And they're always flying around me. So I'm having a war with hornets. Yeah. And so tomorrow I'll probably go out and work again outside. I have to. I'm feeling really bad because I feel like I'm injuring these trees. I'm really hoping that they'll just take root, and then, you know, I'm going to have to find them some homes. I can keep a few around, but I'm going to have to find them some homes. One is almost as tall as me. Yeah, but that one had a big root. It knotted itself. It went like this. Went in, it knotted itself, right? And then it went out through the hole. And by the time I got to it, its root was like already like that. It wasn't very long, but it was very thick, right? And of course, I'm stepping on the pot, trying to loosen up the dirt, and I had to take a knife, and I had to cut the bottom and spread it so that I could get to pull it out. And stuffed it in the pot, knowing that it was going to be unhappy in it, right? So. But it's such a pretty plant, so you know, I'd like to think that it's a warrior plant. So I'm thinking that once they get past that little nut stage, where they depend on that nut for a couple of years, it will recover, right? It's a determined tree, right? These trees are determined. So anyway, I'm kind of tired because I was outside all day, and I'm just gonna upload this now, and then we'll just see how it goes, okay? Anyway, I'm not sure if I broke this camera. I've already dropped it. Anyway, I forgot to say, Cider came by today. Obviously, I didn't get to the hospital, people. I did canning until 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You'll see with this, right? And then I got up, and by noon, I guess you could say, I was outside. And then, of course, I came in at dark, right? Which was about 8:30. So I was outside for 8.5 hours. Okay? And I really didn't get a lot done because the stuff I was doing was fickle shit. I was digging out roots, you know, trying to be as gentle as I could, right? Get out of that motherfucking pot! Come on, move! Right? And, so anyway, I was out there, but Tisha's been calling, you know, and she, was there at the hospital in the morning, and we didn't get a lot of information because we were talking to the nurse. And Sierra's disposition was better. But then, at some point in the afternoon, she showed up here, wearing her hospital pants. She had her own shirt. She said she couldn't wear pants. She had her own shirt on. She had her little jacket wrapped around her waist, but she was wearing hospital pants because her pants had gotten wet and were all moldy in a bag that was underneath her gurney, bed, or whatever. So she couldn't wear those pants, but she could wear her shirt and stuff, and she had her little jacket that she had around her waist. So she found time to dress herself anyway. And what she wanted was cream of wheat. And of course, I was outside. I'm already on a time restraint. And the last thing I want to do is come inside and supervise my daughter in my house as she makes herself cream of wheat. And that's like 45 minutes to an hour of my time gone, people. Right? And not only that, I said to her, like, why aren't you eating at the hospital? You were there. Oh, well, you know, I'm not giving them anything to eat. No, it's not, you know, it's a hospital. And I'm like, well, did you get your scope? Yeah, they already gave it to me, and like, you know, right? So, I don't know, people. Like, I wouldn't let her eat it. I told her to go back to the hospital. My eyes, sorry. I told her to go back to the hospital. I'm gonna go have a bath. Right? And that if she was allowed to eat, that they should feed her. Right? She comes here to eat the cream of wheat because it's easy to chew. She doesn't have to chew because she has no teeth left. Right? 32 years old and has no teeth. And, no. She didn't ask for money. I told her I didn't have any, though. I don't know how she got here. I don't know where she went. For all the times that they called security on her, it didn't seem to work. Because she said she was going back. Like, it's borrowed time. This is borrowed. And when she was out there talking to me, she was gibbering. She gibbers. So in other words, you're having a conversation with her. You go and you know, go grab something, and then you hear her, yeah, it was, you know, just over there, right? Like, gibber, right? And you look at her, and then she, right? You know, like, you know, I told her, I said, you know, you talk to yourself, Sierra. In a gibberish sense. They're giving her morphine, people. They're giving her morphine because that's what the nurse said. And she's still running around. Like, how does that work? So, of course, I feel like shit for not letting her have some cream of wheat. But then on the other hand, I don't want to feed her and then start the process all over again if she hadn't had this scope yet. I don't know what to think. I don't have time to be sitting in a hospital, people, arguing with doctors and nurses right before I have to start bringing Amari back. I don't. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. I don't have the inclination. I don't see why I should have to. And I would see it for what it is. It's just another extension of that gang stalking and all that other shit that goes on in that fucking place. Well, we'll just keep talking about it, eh? We'll just see where it goes, right? Was I wrong for not going to the hospital and then finding out that my daughter wasn't there? She was at my house looking for me? I just have to stay home and wait for her to show up. And they know that. That's what I mean. They release a monster onto me. Right? And she's not going to get better if they don't know what's wrong with her. That's what the nurse said. Well, we don't know what's wrong with her. We don't know where the blood's coming from. That's what the scope is for. I don't know, people. They have all the mandates to restrain people. They restrain people in multiple ways every single day. Do you know that there are 10,000 people in the province of British Columbia, Canada, who are basically illegally detained through the mandates and legislated acts that regulate those things? They're illegally detained. But because there's not enough lawyers in there helping these people, right? It's kind of hard to fight back, right? So anyway, I just wanted to just do a little update on Sierra.